Let's jump into this Instagram Reels tutorial for beginners. And even if you're not a beginner, there's going to be some stuff you're going to want to be aware of, some important privacy settings that are relatively new. So let's jump in. By the way, if you are only looking for a certain part of Instagram Reels in this tutorial, you can go to the chapters section in the description of this video and jump to whatever part you're looking for, because I know your time is valuable and I want to respect that. So I'm here in the Instagram app, and I'm going to show you two ways to start creating a reel, because sometimes they change things, and I want this video to be helpful to you no matter when you're watching it. So first, there's the plus sign on the upper right corner. This is here on my profile, and so I can tap that plus sign, and you can see the very first option here is reel, and I tap that to create a reel. The other place, and you can see this button anywhere in Instagram, is in the bottom row there. Click that plus sign, and once you're in here, then you're going to swipe the little thing at the bottom to go over. Its defaults to post, then story, and then we're going to go ahead and choose reel right there. And this is where we can start. Now, your next step may vary depending on what you want. If you've already recorded a video and it's on your phone, you can just find that video. All right, business owners, who knows better what your client... Select, and it will add it to your Instagram reel. Another option is to start with a template, which is that button on the upper right. So back on this screen, I'm gonna tap the camera icon on the upper left, and that's gonna open up our Instagram Reels camera here. All right, so there I am. We're gonna go through and walk through the steps to create an Instagram Reel. Now there's a few settings that you can use before you record, so let's look at those first. So starting at the bottom, that big white button at the bottom, that is your record button. That's what we're gonna use when we record your Instagram Reel. But to start, you can also swipe through, and there are different filters. This is called the Relax You Pretty filter. I look lovely. And so there's all kinds of different ones that you can play with down here that do different random things. And so feel free to play with those if you want to add a filter. I am not ashamed to tell you that if you're struggling with camera confidence, as I did for many, many years, add a filter that makes you feel good when you are recording your videos. I will say, if these are to grow your business and you are doing something a little too much, like this comic book one, this might be too distracting and might distract from what you're actually trying to say in your videos. All right, next up, we're gonna look at these tools here on this side of the screen. And the first one there, that little musical note, that is to add audio to your video before you record it. So I can tap that there, and I can choose different songs that I might wanna use in my Instagram Reel. So there's a great search bar at the top there. If you find a song that you wanna use in your video, you can tap that play button there on the right, and it'll actually start playing it for you. And once you have the one that you want to use, you can just tap on the title of the song itself. And then down there at the bottom, I've got my finger on it right now, so it's not playing, but you can drag this to choose the part of the song that you want. So you can get very specific with it. Once you're happy with it, hit done in the upper right corner. And now when you hit record, that song will play in the background. Now, most people add music after they record, and so we'll show you how to do that after we record something here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and you may wanna remove music too, so I'm gonna tap on that top icon again. Right now it's an album cover, and then the upper left corner there, I'm gonna tap that delete button, and now it's gone. The next icon there, those stars, is going to be different effects that you can add in. And there are probably thousands that you can choose from here. And the first ones you're gonna see are gonna be the ones based on what you've used in the past, they think you'll like, or the ones you've actually used in the past, or the most popular ones. So these are gonna be some of the same ones we saw by swiping through, but you have some more tabs here where you can click on trending. There are some where specifically appearance-based, so there's kind of just a little bit more that you can use to search through by doing it this way. And if you find one that you like this Starry Night one I have selected, I can tap above the white part of the screen, you can tap the little bookmark mark, and that will save it for later. And then anytime you're in here, in the white box on the upper left, you can tap the little bookmark icon, and it will show you everything that you have saved because you wanted to maybe use it later on. All right, so the next icon over here looks like a grid sort of, and so that's kind of exactly what it is. It's called layout, and once you've selected it, you can see right underneath that, that shows basically divided into columns, and that's what this screen is. So I could basically record one video of me talking over here, video of me talking over here, video of me talking over here. Not something you use most of the time, but it's there if you happen to want it. And then if you tap on the two columns there underneath the main button that's selected, you can choose different types of grids. And so this is basically a way to put together a bunch of pictures or videos on the same screen together. I'm going to X out of that. The next one under layout is green screen. And so you don't actually have to have a green screen for this to work. It actually works surprisingly well. And so if you want to change the background, you can tap change background there at the bottom where it says that. And they've got a bunch of them that you can choose from. And so it's like, okay, yeah, wow, now look, I'm here at this beautiful banquet, I suppose. Or you can see on the right there, you can actually choose something from your camera roll. And so a lot of people get really creative with these. I don't think perfection is expected, so it doesn't need to be like a professional grade green screen behind you. You can literally do it because the technology has gotten so good, almost no matter what is behind you. Okay, next up, and you see that down arrow there on the right side there. You can always tap that to access more of these. Next is called Add Yours. And you can essentially add a prompt encouraging other people to add theirs to the prompt, and it sort of creates this chain of content. Okay, next under that is length. So if I tap on that icon, the circle that has 60 in it, this is if you want to have a predetermined length for your Instagram reel. Now the max as of this recording is 90 seconds, although they are testing expanding it to as much as 10 minutes. But for now, you can go through and you can essentially set a limit. So maybe you want to make sure it's only 15 seconds. You can preset that. If you want it to be as long as possible, then you can obviously leave it at 90 seconds. When we record here in a second, you'll see why that's helpful. The next icon there says dual. That is for dual camera. And so you can tap on that. And what that does is essentially, you can't really see much there, but essentially it lets you use both your front camera and your back camera, and you record with both of them in your Instagram reel. Now, behind me, using my camera behind, it's a relatively dark room because I've got lights here because I'm making this video, but that's how you can do that. The next one under that is new. It says gesture control. And if I tap that, rather than having to hit the button, you can raise your hand to start and stop recording, okay? So let's test this out and see how well it works. So when you were ready to start recording, you would just raise your hand, and it recognizes it, and now it's giving me a 3-second countdown, and then I can start recording. Hey, here's what I wanted to talk about today in my Instagram reel. Then when I'm done, I can raise my hand again, it recognizes it, and it stops. That's kind of cool. That's the first time I've used that. Now, the next one there is align. And so what that does basically is if you are trying to record multiple clips and you want them to sync up, you can see basically the clip I just recorded is what that ghost looking version of my face is. And so if I wanted to pick it up from the same place, I would try and line my face up and then hit record. People that are good at this are really good at this. I am not going to attempt to do it here, but you can play with it if that's something that you want to use. So a few other settings up here at the top you can do before you record. That first one is basically to turn on the light. If you needed more light, you can use that. That middle one is to change the speed that you'll record at, everything from slower at 1/3 up to 4x speed. And then that last one, you can change how long your countdown timer is before it starts recording. Remember, we saw that 3-second countdown timer a second ago. Or you can change the length of your video if you want to get more specific compared to the 15, 30, 60, 90-second options that we had before. When you're ready to record, you have two ways of doing it here. One, you can just tap the button at the bottom, the big white button, and it'll start recording. And then when you're done, you can hit stop, which is traditional for pretty much, I think, all video cameras since the beginning of time. And then the other option that you can do is you can actually hold down the button and record. Now, before I do that, I just want to point something out. You see how the part of the circle is covered? That's because that's the part I already recorded. And now if I wanted to add more to it, I can record more. So you can actually record multiple clips for your video. Like sometimes I might record one facing forward and then I'll change it up and be over here to have a different background, for example. You can record multiple clips. And so you're going to see now I'm going to hold it down and you can see now we're recording more and another clip is being added to my Instagram reel up to 15 seconds, which is where I set the limit for this. And you can see the clock up there as well. So now it's playing back what I just recorded, and you can keep adding clips until you run out of space or until you decide you're done and you hit next. So because I maxed out at 15 seconds, it automatically moved me to the next screen. Now we have all the things we can add after we've recorded our video. And so we'll just start at the top. That first button is a little down arrow. That is essentially if you want to save the video to your camera roll. As a heads up, if you have any music that's copyrighted, it will not save that to your camera roll, but it'll give you a heads up and let you know that. Next up is the music icon there, and you tap that, And same as I showed you before, except now you can go through and you can add it to your video. I am going to add some music just to show you an important setting here. So let's just tap on this third one here, happiness. And the first thing that comes up is you can use this box at the bottom to drag it to different parts of the song that you might want to use. And then these little dots that are on that line basically go to some of the most popular places that people have used. So once you have the part of the song you want, you hit done at the top there, and you're not going to hear it playing here because I want you to be able to hear the tutorial, but I'm going to click that music icon up at the top again. And this time on the upper left, I'm going to click that controls icon. And here you can control the camera audio, what was already there, or it was already on your video. And so when I added this song, by default, it took my original audio and it turned it down to 0. But this is a talking head video, so I want that at 100%. So I just slide that up with my finger. And then I'm going to turn the other one way, way down. Now, really important, I usually have these about 5 to 8%. And when you're editing, it may sound like it's not loud enough to you and you want it louder. However, you have to keep in mind when people are watching these videos later, they're watching your video, sometimes they have good headphones, sometimes they have bad headphones. Sometimes they have headphones plugged in, other times they don't. Sometimes they're on a train, sometimes they're on a completely silent place. So if what you're saying in your video is the most important thing, keep the music really quiet, quieter than you think it needs to be, just so that your sound, your voice comes through in every situation that someone might be watching your video in. Once you've got this the way you want it, I'm going to tap the done button at the bottom of the screen. Let's say you recorded a video where nobody's talking, you're not talking. Well, then you can tap that second icon there at the top. It says Voiceover, and it'll actually let you record a voiceover for your video. So basically, when you push down this red record button, you can start talking and it will add it. It'll play the video in the background so you can see what's happening. And then you can say, so here we are looking at such and such, or whatever it might be. So that's kind of a cool feature if you want to add that later. And then one more thing here that I want to show you that I think is important is this import button. So let's say you've got your own original music or something like that. You want to make sure you have the rights to it. And you can import audio, music, or sound effects or whatever from any video that you already have on your camera roll by selecting it. It does say there on the screen the videos do have to be at least 5 seconds long. Once we've got our sound the way we want it, I'm just going to swipe down from the top of the screen to get back to my main video. And then that next icon on the top is the effects. And we showed this before you filmed. And so you can go through here and add effects after you film if you want. Now, to deselect, if you've already added something, you just tap on the screen again. So right now, Crystal is selected there in the middle of the screen. I can tap it again, and now it's gone. And then I can swipe down to come back out of that. The next one is the little Post-it note that looks like it has a smiley face on it. That's stickers and GIFs and basically everything else that you would add on top of your video. So if you've done Instagram stories, some of these may look familiar, but let's go through some of the major ones here. Before that, though, first thing you can do is you can come up here and you can search for anything. And so I could literally search for social media, let's say, and it'll bring up all kinds of GIFs, usually for social media, that I could add on top, okay? So this is an Instagram, let's say this video is about Instagram Reels. I can tap on that Instagram dancing icon there. It'll add it to my video. I can put my finger on it and drag it wherever I want. I can also pinch to zoom to change the size of it. And if I don't want it at some point, I can hold my finger on it, drag it down to the bottom to this trash can, and it'll disappear. Okay? So that first sticker that it's showing there on the upper left says captions. This is a really important one because the overwhelming majority of social media videos are watched without sound. So tap on that, and it will actually start transcribing whatever is said in the video and generate captions for you. And just like that, there are captions. Now, this row at the bottom, you can swipe through and you can choose different fonts and styles for your captions, whatever you think makes the most sense for your video. And once you've chosen some, you can hold your finger down on the captions. You can move them around the screen. You can pinch to zoom to make them different sizes or change the angle. Now, one thing, no matter what you're adding, I want you to notice when you come up here near the top, it shows you these 2 lines on the upper left. That's because you don't want anything to be this far over or too close to the top where there's other things. When you come over here to the side, same thing. When you come down here to the bottom, you can see it's showing where like the like button is and the username and the caption and stuff like that. So whatever you add, you want to make sure that it is somewhere that's not going to be on top of or underneath another graphic, okay? So I'm gonna put these right here at the top for people to read. Now to keep the screen decluttered for this tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and just drag those down to the trash can and get them out of the way. A few other stickers you can use in here, the poll, you can ask a question and have people answer in a poll. It's great for getting engagement. Same with that little slider with the heart eyes. You can get people's engagement that way. You can do a quiz. These are all things that work great for getting engagement, which will increase the reach of your Instagram reel. And then that last icon on the upper right, that is the text icon. So if you want to add text that's not captions to your Instagram reel, you tap that. You can type whatever you want. Just like with the captions, you can swipe through and choose different styles and fonts at the bottom. The little slider on the left side is to make it bigger or smaller, although you can resize by pinching into zoom too. So right now you're just kind of trying to decide how many lines do I want it to be. So we'll make it a 2-line tutorial, go back to something that's more readable. Then at the top, those icons, that first one is basically how you want it justified. So you can justify left, right, or center by tapping that multiple times. I'm gonna skip to the third one now. The third one changes how it looks in terms of does it have a background? So this is no background, tap again, it has a black background, tap again, and it actually flips it so that the white background is there and it's black text. And once you've chosen one of these, you can choose the color circle, which is the icon before that, and you can go through and change what color you use. And once you've chosen a color, you can come back and you can tap the one about backgrounds again and see how it looks in different ways. And then that last one is if you want it to be animated. So if you tap that last one, what looks like an A with speed behind it, it'll basically show it being typed as it comes onto the screen. So it looks like this instead of appearing there immediately. So that can be something that you can play with. Now, if you want to take your editing and get a little bit more advanced with it, down there at the bottom is that edit video button, or you can get to the same place by swiping up on your video. But I'll tap edit video. And what it does is it brings up a more traditional timeline video editor. And so these are all the elements that we've added down here. So that first one is my original video. The second one is the song that I've added. And the third one, that purple bar, is see, you can see it appearing on the screen as I slide through, is the text that we added. So everything you've added will show up down here. And let's say that you didn't want the text to show the whole time. You can click on any of these elements and the yellow bars will appear around it. You tap a finger on one side and you can basically drag to basically shrink it, trim it to where you want it to go. So then if I play it back, the tutorial title there will actually disappear at that point. You can do the same thing with a song. You can do the same thing with your videos. And if you have multiple clips in here, so for example, I know at the end of this, I kind of stopped talking and then it just kind of had me standing there for a second. So I can hold that down and I can tighten it up by going back to when I stopped talking right there. Okay. So those are all things you can do. The music automatically trimmed as well because the video clip or clips set the length for the entire thing. Okay. And then down here at the bottom, you can tap the edit button, which will basically take you to that trim thing. You can add clips, you can add text down here. So this is a lot of the same stuff we already did. It's just giving you a new place to do it in a more traditional timeline video editor. So if there's something you want to be just a certain way, then that's where Instagram has given us the opportunity to set things exactly the way that we want them. When the video looks the way you want it, tap that big blue next button on the lower right corner. And now this is going to take us to our publishing screen. And there are some important privacy settings that I think you're going to want to make sure you're aware of. So the first thing you can do, you see the thumbnail of the reel there. You can tap that preview button and it'll just play back your video with the icons on the screen. So you can just like get a feel for how it turned out. How did it look overall? This is how somebody will see it online, most likely. And then at the bottom of that thumbnail, it says edit cover. Now, this is what's going to appear on your Instagram profile. So if I go to my profile and I scroll up, this is basically what's going to show on this screen. And so you can see some of these I've made graphics for, and then some of them it's just something from the video. So if I tap edit cover, I can just slide along and find something that I want to be the cover. And so, you know, since that's the title theoretically of this video, I might just want that with a smile on my face or something like that, something that doesn't, where my mouth is not doing anything too weird. And then once I have that, I can click up at the top. It says cover on one side, profile grid on the other. I can tap that and then I can resize by pinching to zoom or move this so that the part shows up on my Instagram grid, on my profile that I want. Okay, so if by default, all of a sudden it looks like that, then you could drag it down and show the part that you wanted. Now, the other thing you can do is there's that blue button at the bottom. It says add from camera roll. And if you've made a graphic in another program, you can tap that and choose a specific graphic that you made for that video like that. Then I can go to profile grid again and then, move that to wherever I think it should be. And the same thing is achieved. Down below that, you add the caption. So tap on write a caption, add whatever you want, just so you know only about the first few words will show at the bottom of your video, but then people can click see more if they want to see more. The next option says also share to feed. So if you want your video to show up in a traditional feed rather than just in a Reels feed, you can turn that on. Here's the other place that makes a difference. So now I'm back on my profile, and if I share it to the feed, then it's going to show up here on this first tab that looks like a tic-tac-toe board almost. The second tab is my Reels tab, and so if you don't share it, it will show up here with your Reels. Usually it does, but not on your main one. So what should you do? Well, I usually do share to feed. Some people believe that if you share to feed, more of your followers will see it, while if you don't share to feed, then more non-followers will see it. So you can experiment with your own account and see what happens. Okay, the next section is to tag people. So if you did this with somebody, you can tap that and you can tag them in here. Or if you did it as a collaboration with somebody, for example, it came out from you and someone else, then you can tap invite collaborators and it'll send them an invitation. And if they accept it, then their username will be added to the reel. For example, here's one that I did as a collaboration with my friend Austin Armstrong. And if you look at the bottom there, it says Mr. Jerry Potter and Socialty Pro, which is his Instagram handle. And what can happen with that is then the reel would actually go out to both of your audiences and it can dramatically increase your reach. Below that, you can tag products if you have products in an Instagram shop. Below that, you can add a message button. So if you want people to be able to DM you right from your post, you can add that from your reel. Under there, you can add topics. So if you tap on that, one of the things you want Instagram to know is what your video is about. And so you can go through here, and if it makes sense, you can add different topics. Now, I struggle with this. If I go all the way down to the bottom, under business, we have small business and entrepreneurship. So I will usually tap both of those. But you may not find the topic or the category that you're expecting to here. You can't add new ones. You can only choose from the ones that are already here. But it's worth taking a look. See if anything is relevant. Next, under that, you can add a location if you want, and that can help you get seen by more local people. Under that, you can add a reminder. So if you had an upcoming Instagram Live, for example, you could put a reminder in here and a start time, and it'll basically include a button to view event details, which is kind of neat if you are doing an event like that. And if they choose to, they can get notified here on Instagram when it's almost time for whatever your event is. If you're connected as a fundraiser, you can add a fundraiser to your reel. If you want to share to Facebook, tap that. And then under advanced settings, here are the ones that I want to make sure that you know. Tap advanced settings. First one is template. You can let somebody else use this reel as a template, or if you don't want them to use your reel as a template, you can turn that on. I just have it off because if somebody wants to use it as a template, sure, go at it. Allow GIFs on this reel. So there's a program, if you're not familiar, on Instagram where people can buy sort of GIFs. They're like tokens, and then they can send them to you if you're monetized on Instagram. So you can have that turned on in case you ever get signed up for that. You can schedule the reel if you have a creator or a business profile on Instagram, not a personal profile. And so all you need to do is turn that on, and then you can choose the date and time that you want your reel to go up. You can hide the like count on this reel if you don't want other people to be able to see how many likes or how few likes it has. Show captions. So Instagram will add captions to your reel. I find that they're small and hard to read, so I have that turned off and I just add my own captions. Next up, allow people to download your reels. You can see I have that turned on, and my gut instinct was like, oh, I don't want people to be able to download and steal my reels. But first of all, I try and operate out of an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset, where I'm worried about that kind of stuff. But the other thing is, part of the reason TikTok got so big, and part of the reason that some businesses on TikTok got so big is from the beginning, TikTok let you download videos from the platform so you could just text it to a friend or send it in Facebook Messenger or some other platform versus having to send it from the platform that you're on, because maybe your friend didn't have TikTok or your parent or whoever else. So Instagram recently added this ability so you can download it and share it that way. And so because I want my stuff shared with as many people as want to see it, or if they think it would be good for it, that's why I have that toggled on. Personal preference, you can do what you want with that. And then this last one is just a toggle. If you have a limited data plan on your cell phone, maybe you can turn that off to save a little bit on your upload, the amount of data that you're uploading. Otherwise, leave it on so that the video will be uploaded at the highest quality. Then once all of this looks the way that you want it, you just tap share. It'll start uploading. I do recommend keeping the Instagram app open until it's done uploading, depending on what your speed is like, where you are. It could take a while. I believe sometimes it does seem to still upload after you close the app. However, it definitely uploads faster if you keep the app open. As you saw, there's quite a few ways to edit Instagram Reels in the Instagram app. I figured out how to edit mine using a different tool, and it takes less than 5 minutes. So I've linked to a tutorial for that on the screen or in the description of this video. And when you want to start making better Instagram Reels, check out this episode of my podcast, also linked on the screen and in the description. 6 ways to make better Instagram Reels with Jen Herman, who is the Instagram queen. Check that out as well. All right, cheers.